Hi guys, it's Elena of Financialdemics, where I give you the tips and tools to manage your money, increase your savings and your income, and decrease your debt. And today we're creating a plan for your money. So if you're looking to get your money right and build a strong financial foundation, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another one of my uploads. So welcome back to the fourth video in the How to Create a Debt Payoff Plan series. Today we are creating a budget spending plan. I don't care what you call it. We're creating a plan for your money. We are creating a budget because in order to create a plan to pay off debt, you have to have a plan for your money. You can't just be out here all willy-nilly just doing it in your head. It doesn't work like that. So before we create a budget, there are two things I want you to keep in mind. A budget is just an estimate of your income and your expenses. So it's not going to be perfect. Sometimes people don't like the budget because they're like, oh, I'm off, so I can't budget, I'm not good at it. That's not how it works. It's just an estimate. And then you check to see, did I stay within the estimate? Do I need to adjust the estimate? So don't worry about if you're not perfect every single month. The second thing is, it's a working document, which means it is constantly changing. It can change during the month because maybe you forgot about something. Maybe something came up. You make adjustments accordingly. So do not stress out about your budget not being perfect and you not being on budget, especially when you're starting out. Like, you're figuring this out, so do not put that type of pressure on yourself. So to truly be able to show you how I budget, and I'm actually going to show you the way that I actually budget. I have a few budget videos. I have a budget playlist where I talk about different ways to budget, but I've never shown y'all how I actually budget, which is budgeting by Paycheck. And the easiest way to show you that is by going to the computer. So we are going to get on the computer. I'm actually going to have a sample budget because I really don't, all I have is my student loans. So I don't really have a true like debt budget, but I have actually a sample budget, and I have a little bit of information from when I was paying off debt that I put together, and we are going to use that to create a paycheck budget.
All right, so now we're on my computer and we are looking at the Financialdemics expense tracker, which is available in the financial toolkit on my website. So there's a link to it below. Using the expense tracker, we had already determined all the expenses that you have to pay for the month in step 2. So this should be everything that you pay for in the month. We're going to do my favorite method of budgeting, which is budgeting by Paycheck. I've been doing this for a long time. I just realized that it made it easier for me to actually manage my money by budgeting this way. Now, before we can actually create the budget, there is one additional step that I want you to take. It just makes it easier when you are budgeting by Paycheck. Now, if you're doing this in Excel, then you could easily sort by the due date column and it will put everything in order by the due dates you have there, but it will not, of course, have like your groceries and everything broken out. Those would probably be at the bottom. I went ahead and added it on the next tab over so you can see what I'm going to tell you to do just to make it easier. I want you to create 2 columns. The first column will be the 1st through the 15th. The second column will be the 16th through the 31st. And in those columns, you are going to list out the bills that are due between those 2 different due dates. Now, you're also going to want to make sure that you list out certain bills that don't have due dates, or certain expenses that don't have due dates, such as groceries, your fund money, your hair fund, your kid fund, your tithe, or your savings. Those do not have due dates. So you want to break out the amount that you would pay for every 2 weeks for those items. So if you see here, We have groceries right here. I have $100 for groceries. If we go back to the other tab, you'll see that for the month, groceries was $200. And I have a note here that says $100 every 2 weeks. So once you accommodate for all of those expenses, you want to total up each column. And the reason why is you want to verify how much you're paying each paycheck for all your bills and expenses, but also you want to add those up and make sure that the amount totals what you have on the expense template, which it does in this case. If there is a difference, you may have either transposed a number or you added something that you remembered at the last minute and you haven't added it to the expense template. But you should go ahead and add it there also, because remember, that is where you're going to look when you're trying to evaluate your expenses. I want to bring to your attention the difference in the total amount of bills and expenses you have on the first paycheck and the second paycheck. We see there's about a $500 difference here. If that is a concern for you, I know some people, they don't mind where they have less money available at the beginning of the month. I mind, I always have. And so one thing that I used to do, and that's why we have this column over here, because I wanted to show you, is I would take larger expenses and split them in two. So as you can see, the rent over here is $1,000. I have here that the rent is $500 from the first check, $500 from the second check. Another expense that you could possibly consider splitting in half is your student loans. In this case, I said that the student loans were $400 and they're typically due in the second half of the month on here. So you had $200 from the first check, $200 from the second check. And as you can see, that brings your numbers closer. And so you won't have as much of a difference between the end of the month and the beginning of the month when it comes to your expenses. Now, in order to do this, you have to prepare properly. So in the case of your rent, or even if it's your mortgage, right? Typically that's due in the beginning of the month. What I would do in order to prepare for that is in the second half of the month, I would already go ahead and put an extra $500 to the side. And this is in the very beginning. So in the first half, you already paid the $1,000. The second half, I'm going to take an extra $500. So things might be a little tighter. And I am going to put that aside to pay towards the rent for the next month. And then when it's time to pay your rent, so the next month is the first paycheck of the month, you're going to take $500 from that paycheck. You already had your $500 for the side, and you're going to pay the whole $1,000. And from there, it'll be easier to set aside that $500 as time goes on. Now with the student loans, remember the student loans were actually due in the second half of the month. So what you would do is you would have to put aside that extra $200 off of the first paycheck. So just keep that in mind. I know it seems a little difficult, but those are the things that will help you get ahead and will actually make it easier to manage your finances. Okay, so now that we know which bills are due when and what that breakdown looks like, we're going to go ahead and make a budget for the first paycheck of the month. Okay, so this is the Financialdemics paycheck budget template. This is also in the financial toolkit. It is made to accommodate you whether or not you are paid weekly, bi-weekly, or semi-monthly. It actually totals up your checks for you at the end of the month also, and your bills and expenses, so that you're able to see truly how you spent during the month. But we're going to use that information from that expense template and actually create a budget. So for this particular person, I'm going to say that they are going to bring home $2,500 on their first paycheck of the month. And remember what I said earlier, it is an estimate. So we are estimating these numbers based on either bills or what's that roundabout, okay? All right, so we knew that the rent was $1,000. So we're going to go ahead and put that down for $1,000. In the charity section, we have tithe and offering and charitable gifts. So we do have tithe from the expense tracker showing it's $200 every 2 weeks. In the utilities section, it looks like we have for the first paycheck, at least, we have electric, which is due. And so that's showing as 70 as is the estimate. And then for water, we assume that's going to be around $30. And I didn't put internet or cable on this particular budget, but I'm going to include Netflix. Now, if you have cable and you also have Netflix, then Netflix should move down to that lifestyle section. But for here, I'm just going to put it in cable. All right, we said our groceries was going to be $100 every 2 weeks. We're not going to worry about eating out right now. We don't have a car payment due between the 1st and the 15th, but we do have auto gas, right? We have to pay for our gas to get around. So let's say that's $50. And I know for most people it's not for 2 weeks, but you know, let's just, we have a hair fund on this budget. So it looks like it's $25 every 2 weeks. Oh, you know what I missed, which is good about these lists because you get to go back and check on things. I missed car insurance. So car insurance $220 every single month and it's due on the 4th. We're saving in our emergency fund. It looks like we're saving $100 every 2 weeks. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a little check here to see where we're at, because on our expense template, it told us where we should actually be. All right, so let's go back to our fund money because we didn't put the $100 there. And our kid fund. A kid fund is another type of sinking fund. I started having a kid fund when my child was younger, just because they always have unexpected expenses. So save yourself and just put money aside continuously, and then you won't have blows to the budget when all of a sudden something happens or they just grow all of a sudden. So we want to make sure we accommodate for that kid fund. And it looks like we are dead on. It says 1982 and 99, and just to verify, 1982.99. All right. So when it comes to budgeting by paycheck, I like to give every single dollar a name or a job. And so we see that there's a difference. We're basically looking for a difference of 0. And so in this case, right, because we are talking about creating a debt payoff plan, you may want to put that difference towards your debt. You may also want to put that difference, towards your savings, or split it between a few different things. In this case, we have a difference of $517.01. I'm going to put some in savings, right? Because we're trying to build our emergency savings here. Because in the last step, we talked about our starter emergency fund, but we also want to put some money towards whatever debt we're going to pay off first. So let's go ahead and allocate the difference down here, the $317.01, towards our credit card, right? And now we see this difference is 0. So this is how I actually create a paycheck budget. And remember, it's just an estimate of your income and expenses. But the most important part of this budget is going back and actually analyzing how you spent your money. And I think sometimes that's where there's a disconnect, because even though you created a budget, you're off because maybe you ran out of money, but you didn't go back and really analyze to see, well, where did the money go? Where did I actually spend the money? So when you actually analyze your budget, you're still going to pull out like your bank statement. And hopefully you're not using your credit card at this time, because we're trying to get rid of debt. So we need to stop using that credit card. And we're going to look at how you actually spent your money and what income came in, so that we can make any adjustments we need to make for the second paycheck of the month. In this case, we're going to say that this person did receive $2,500 on that first paycheck of the month, but maybe they had a side hustle that they picked up and they made a quick $100. They didn't estimate for that before, but that's okay. They got extra $100. So that means that they had a total income for the last 2 weeks of $2,600. So let's see how they did with their expenses. Okay, they paid the $1,000 for their mortgage or their rent in this case. They paid $200 for tithe. The water bill went a few cents over, a little over. The electric bill was cheaper than they thought it was going to be. Let's say that it was $63. Netflix, right, was $12.99. They pull that automatically. So we see, at least in the utilities category, they actually have an extra $5.43. With the groceries, they went a little over, right? Y'all know how that goes. You see something like, oh, wait a minute, what? I didn't have this on my list, but I want this. I may not need it, but I want it, right? For gas, maybe they spent a little less than they had planned on. The car insurance, of course, was the exact amount. Hair care, they bought a couple products, right? Their fund money, they definitely use that. The kid fund, they put that money aside just in case. They put that money in their emergency fund, and they put that $317.01 on their credit card. Okay, so when everything totals up, right, we see that they estimated that their expenses for the first 2 weeks of the month, or the first paycheck, was going to be around $2,500, but they actually spent a little bit more. They spent $2,504.57. You're able to go back and look and see like what exactly happened, instead of, just trying to guess, right? So they actually saved money when it came to buying their hair products. They actually saved money when it came to gas. They spent a little bit more in groceries. So maybe if they see this a habit over time, you're like, maybe I should put $115 aside for groceries because clearly I'm spending it. Or, become a little bit more disciplined and, not pick up the extras, right? They actually saved money when it came to their electric bill, but then their water bill was a little higher. So that you're able to go back and see, okay, what is going on? And also able to see, do I need to create a new category or allocate money to a new category if you're not putting money to the side? But remember, even though they overspent in expenses, or what they estimated, right? They didn't truly overspend. They had some side hustle income that they did not allocate for. So they have actually an extra $95.43 left over from the first 2 weeks of the month. So they can decide, depending on what they expect to happen in the next 2 weeks, whether they want to take that $95.43 and allocate it there because maybe they know something is happening, they need that money for that. Or because in this case, we're like paying off debt, making sure we're building that savings, maybe they put the money either towards their debt or towards their savings as they're still trying to build that emergency fund. So I hope this small, quick tutorial was helpful for you. Let me know if you really want me to do a more in-depth tutorial. I only did one paycheck, right? But if you're paid bi-weekly or semi-monthly, you're getting 2 paychecks. So let me know if you want me to do a more in-depth tutorial.
So I hope that tutorial on how I budget by paycheck was helpful for you. In the comments below, let me know, are you putting more money towards your goals, or do you need to increase your income? If you felt this video was helpful, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps me get this out to more people so that they are able to create their debt payoff plan. And if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button and subscribe, because I have great videos coming, and I already have a lot of great videos that can help you out with your finances. And share with your friends if you feel like it would be helpful for them, and I'll see you next time.